This episode includes discussions around food, eating healthy, and how our relationship with food can affect our mental health. If this is something that might trigger you, we would suggest skipping this episode. And if you yourself are struggling with an eating disorder or think you may be experiencing one, it's advised that you see your GP as soon as you can. Or if you feel that you can't do that, you can always go to Beat Eating Disorders and their helpline 0808 801 0677. You're listening to The Wave Southend, your new go-to local mental health and wellbeing podcast. I'm Lucy and I'll be your host for today's episode of The Wave. How are you doing today?
Yeah, very well. Yeah, got a busy day ahead of working, but yeah, very good so far.
It's nice for you to join us and take some time out of your busy day, which I imagine can be quite difficult.
Can be. Friday's usually an all right day for me, so...
That is true. Fridays are always the best one because it's nearly the weekend.
It is.
Today we're joined by Joanna Freeman, who works at Everyone Health. Would you like to introduce yourself a bit?
Yes, so I'm currently the weight management coordinator for Everyone Health. My background is nutrition, so I'm a nutritionist. I deliver all the sort of nutrition classes, but I also coordinate all the venues and all of the admin side of things of the weight management programme. I do other things as well, dot my head here and there into the different services that we offer.
Sounds like you do a lot of things, but you do
indeed.
them very well, which I can imagine. Today we're going to be talking about what our relationship between food and mental health and well-being is, and what your thoughts are really about that.
So food and mental health, they do sort of come really sort of closely together. When we talk about food and sort of healthy eating, the thing that we usually think of is our physical health, and you know how it's going to impact our physical health, and not often do we tend to refer to our mental health with these sides of things, and it is really important. And there are certain foods that can sort of support our mental well-being, certain things that can help sort of how our brain works, and certain things that can maybe not help, but what I tend to sort of say in these sorts of situations, it is everything in moderation. You know, we shouldn't be encouraging sort of restriction in our diet. We want people to enjoy food. Food is there to be enjoyed. You know, we have it for social occasions. We don't want to restrict on these things, so it is something that we want to sort of enjoy.
For sure, I really myself see food as kind of like an exciting celebration thing, like Definitely. You said. Like if you're going out for dinner with your friends or family, you know, you want to eat something that you will enjoy because it's a special occasion, and not eat something that you feel like people are expecting you to eat.
Definitely.
Which could be quite difficult. And then like restricting yourself in terms of people thinking that you can't eat cake because it's bad for you can't have chocolate because it's bad for you and stuff like that. That could be really difficult for a lot of people.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
It can affect your mental health a lot because you put that kind of mindset in your head, really.
Yeah.
And you kind of try and stick to it almost, which is not always a good thing, unfortunately.
It can be quite dangerous, really, these sorts of things, and it can really sort of ruin your life. You know, a lot of sort of in our culture especially, everything's focused around food. When we do certain things, a lot of things we then relate to food. So, for example, if we were going to go to the cinema, we'd relate that with popcorn. If we were going to go down Southend seafront, you'd probably think ice cream and donuts. Now, obviously, it is going to happen. That is a thing. But we want to try and, you know, discourage that where we can, because, you know, we're sort of putting rewards around food. We want to try and put rewards around other things other than just food, because otherwise that can sort of encourage us to be a little bit obsessed with what we're eating and, you know, relating things to food, which we don't really want. So if we can try and sort of relate, you know, why are you going to the cinema? You're going there to watch a film, not for the popcorn. So that's what we want to try and encourage. But obviously food is there, and, you know, we don't want to put sort of negative connotations on that.
No, obviously. I do feel like in social media, and I'm not sure if you've seen this yourself, people talk often about treating themselves. Like they'll go to get coffee at their local place or something, or they'll get a muffin with their drink because it's they're treating themselves as a reward that they've done to earn it.
Yeah.
They've done something good.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, or if you know why, that people put that kind of negative connotation on it. Happened to be like a naughty food, like it has to be like chocolate or something that you treat yourself with, and people don't treat yourself with a salad. Or...
Definitely, yeah. And it's about listening to your bodies, really. You know, I always say if you're feeling hungry, please eat. Like, you know, and with sort of the programs that I run, a lot of people go, you know, I'm feeling hungry, but I'm not going to eat anything. I'm going to wait until my next meal time. If you're feeling hungry and it's 11 o'clock, then, you know, have a snack. But it's just about what you're actually choosing to eat. You know, is a cake actually going to keep you full, or is it going to spike your blood glucose and you're going to have a big old crash and then feel hungry again? So it's about the things that you're choosing. But obviously, if you fancy a cake and you want a cake, it's absolutely fine to have it, just as long as you're not, you know, eating 12 of them. It is about sort of moderation. And you're right, you know, people do sort of have these sort of treats and, you know, they go, oh, I've done this, so I'm going to have a treat, or, you know, I've eaten really well throughout the week, so I'm going to have a cheat day. And again, it's negative. It doesn't need to be a cheat day. We should be able to just enjoy it throughout the week. We don't need to sort of save up these calories. It's nothing like that. You know, we want to sort of not be restricting and enjoying these foods when we want to enjoy them.
Yeah, I think, especially like on social media, there's a lot of people, a lot of influencers out there that talk about what they eat and talk about cheat days, and there's a lot of videos that can be seen and are very, very, very readily accessible to like teenagers, especially online and through TikTok, and people being like, this is what I eat in a day. If you want to look like me, this is what definitely. You eat. Yeah. And I think that's something that there's very much a myth and a really bad connotation when it comes to 100%. Nutrition and diet and stuff.
It's dangerous. It really is, because, you know, even if you're exactly the same size, exactly the same height, you could need different requirements of food. There are so many things that influence how much energy we need. You know, there's hundreds of things that are going to influence how much energy we need. You know, how much activity we're doing, if we're on any medication, you know, how old we are, our ethnicity, what stage we are in the menopause, and things like that. There's so many different things that can influence it. So from comparing yourself to someone online, it can be really dangerous, because you think, well, you know, this person can eat that much food, so maybe I can, or this person's only eating that much, so I need to stop eating so much. We really just need to start listening to our own bodies, and listening when we're hungry, listening when we're full up, and just sort of trying to focus on ourselves rather than focusing on other people.
So in the kind of services that you offer with Everyone Health, how do you kind of navigate that with the clients that you have, in trying to help them between that bad connotation that they've come in with you, on how to keep them looking at being healthy and help them have that relationship with food grow again into being good?
So with our weight management programs, when people first come in, we do something called an initial assessment with them. And it's just about half an hour. We sit down in person and we just have a chat. So it will just be one of the practitioners and the patient themselves. So in that time, we will discuss with them, you know, their current sort of physical activity, their food habits, any sort of health concerns or anything like that, and also what we can do to help them. So it's important for them to be honest with us, because, you know, if they're not truthful, then, you know, we can't help. So we try and ask sort of questions to understand what people want from our service and what we can best do to help them. Now, that initial assessment is just half an hour, and then the rest of the sessions are all in groups. So we try and adapt things as much as we can to people. And there is plenty of time for people to ask questions, and I do encourage people to write things like food diaries that I can sort of go over with them and have a look and see if, you know, I can help and support them in any way. So that's just sort of some extra things that we offer a part of our service, as well as just the nutrition and the physical activity side of things.
Okay, that's really interesting that you kind of do the whole food diary thing. It wasn't something that I was aware that you kind of offered. Yeah. How do you kind of support people then in trying to, I don't know how to say it, like be open and honest with you?
It is difficult, it is, and some people won't. But the best thing is just to show that you sort of relate to these people, and show that you're there for support. So a lot of people might feel a little bit judged coming in. A lot of time, you know, people say, you know, you haven't been in my position, you know, you don't know how I feel, and I don't, not for the majority of them. So I try and you know, sympathise with people and show that I understand, and, you know, I'm here to support. And the majority of the time, people do tend to open up, a lot about sort of their past and how things have affected them in the past. But yeah, it is difficult if people don't want to open up, for sure.
Yeah, it can be. Like, I know people that I've worked with before in like previous jobs and stuff where they've experienced like poor eating habits and stuff, and that's kind of gone in par with their mental health and stuff, and they wouldn't feel that somewhere that they would be able to go to support them in that regard. So it's really nice to hear that you not only help them with their nutrition and being healthy, but you also support them in like every way that you can. Do you kind of do like meal prepping and stuff, talking about that and things like that, of how to help them be healthy?
Yeah, so with the weight management service, obviously we do run sort of other services that I will talk about as well, but the weight management service is the one that I run, so it's the one that I tend to focus on. But we sort of have 12 different topics, so it's a 12-week programme, and every week there's a new topic. So we do talk about meal planning, and it's a really important thing to do because, you know, if we're talking about, you know, lack of time and those sorts of things, it's important to make sure that you're organised and you're sort of planning ahead of time. So in that session, I get people to chat amongst themselves, and the reason being is I don't know about you, but I get a little bit bored with what I'm eating. You know, I've only got certain recipes, and you can get a little bit. You know, I'm cooking the same things. I can only think of, you know, 2 things with mincemeat and chicken. So I get them to talk to each other because different people have different recipes, different ways of doing things. So I get them to discuss, you know, what sort of meal ideas they have, you know, what breakfast they have and how they sort of plan ahead. And that session is really great because a lot of the time it is just me talking and asking questions, and that one allows them to have that discussion a little bit. That's really, really important. But like going back onto what you said about people having to be organised and stuff, I'm not sure if this is something that happens to a lot of people, but myself, I struggle a lot with my kind of time management of being able to meal prep and stuff. I don't have a lot of hours in the day after work and stuff and going out and socialising. And also like meal prepping and stuff, like not everybody can afford to meal prep. It can be very difficult having to find ways you can eat healthy as well as being able to afford it. Yeah, if we're talking about sort of cost and eating healthy, it can be a problem. A lot of the time is people just don't know how to cook healthy on a budget. We did run some brief classes at St Luke's Community Hub where we did some eating healthy on a budget, and they were really great. They went down really well. So it was just basically us showing that you can buy certain foods that are cheaper. So frozen fruits and vegetables have the same, if not more, nutrients than fresh. So, for example, they're cropped as soon as they're cropped and then frozen as soon as their harvest. So the nutrients is all sort of kept in when they're frozen. Whereas if you've got something that's fresh, it's cropped, then it sits in a warehouse, then it sits in the shop, then it sits in your fridge. So the nutrients deplete over time. So that's what we encourage. We encourage, you know, buying those frozen things because then even if you're living on your own, then it's going to keep rather than going off. We want to try and reduce food waste, obviously, if we can. And then it's just sort of, if we're preparing in advance, if we're cooking big sort of bulk meals and then popping them in the freezer or eating them throughout the week, it is going to be cheaper than, you know, if you come home from work and then you don't know what to cook, so you have a takeaway or something like that, or you have a ready meal or something like that. It's going to be cheaper if we've sort of cooked that in bulk. But then that comes into the problem with time. So people don't have time to do that. But it's just about trying to work around your schedule. Do you have time on a Sunday evening to do a little bit of meal prep, or do you have time on one of the evenings throughout the week? It's about trying to work it into your schedule and trying to make that time for it. Yeah, 100%. Like I said, it can be really difficult. I myself struggle with it. I'm not the best. I do try to meal prep, but I'm not the best at it, unfortunately. Because I do kind of get my time runs away with me a lot of the time. But it's really interesting to hear about the whole frozen fruit and veg kind of thing. I wasn't sure about that at all. I always thought that it would be more expensive because I've had to do that and stuff like that. But it's nice because fruit doesn't last very long. No, it doesn't. So you just feel like you're wasting money a lot. You do, don't you? Yeah. So then if you're buying that fresh fresh fruit and vegetables, and you put it in the fridge, and then it goes off. Well, you've just wasted all that money, haven't you? Yeah. So if you can freeze it or buy frozen fruit and vegetables, then you're going to end up saving more money.
Going on the topic of food and stuff like that, there's a lot of kind of different diets and fad diets out there that you can access on the internet quite regularly. Are these kind of things that you experience? Do you think they work or anything? Or
no, they don't work. But yeah, they're so common. So fad diets are basically weight loss diets that are quite extreme. So some examples would be things like the keto diet, which is where you just have really sort of high protein meals and really cut out your carbohydrates in your diet. Things like intermittent fasting, when you only eat for a certain amount of time. And if we're talking about mental health, this can be really detrimental on mental health, especially if we're talking about going out and socialising. You can't eat the food that you want to eat. You can't enjoy yourself. And yes, for weight loss, they will work in the short term, but they're not sustainable. So you can't stay on that diet forever. And as soon as you come off of it, the weight's going to come back on. And that leads to things like yo-yo dieting. So yo-yo dieting is where you lose weight on a diet, you come off of the diet and your weight goes back up. Now, your weight goes back up usually higher than it was before, and it's just a gradual increase. Now, when we lose weight, we lose fat mass, but we also lose some muscle mass. Now, if we're not exercising, we're not doing sort of resistance training that's going to build that muscle mass, and we put that weight back on, then we're going to put back on more fat mass than we would muscle mass. I know it can sound a little bit confusing. So basically, your muscle mass will deteriorate over time, and your muscle mass, your fat mass will increase. Now, muscle mass is so important because that's what sort of burns that energy in your body. Yeah. So if you've got less muscle mass, then you can't eat as much. In sort of summary, so you can't burn as much energy. So a way to sort of stop this happening is not to go on these sort of fad diets and to prevent this yo-yo dieting, and to make sure that you're exercising, doing sort of muscle strengthening exercises like body weight exercises, resistance training at the gym, or even just using tins of beans and stuff like that you might have in your house just to strengthen your muscles, so that muscle mass doesn't deplete over time.
Yeah, no, I like you're saying about the yo-yo dieting a lot. I know a lot of people that kind of lose weight to prepare themselves for a thing. So you're getting married.
Yeah, okay, yeah, definitely. Going on holiday or you to get bikini ready, those sorts of things.
Yeah, I think there's on Instagram especially, there's a whole big thing about summer body ready and how you have to look a certain way in a bikini because that's the way that we see these celebrities and stuff like that, which results in people yo-yo dieting. Yeah, they lose weight, they look like that, or they somewhat look like that, and then they go on holiday, and you're on holiday and you eat what you want to eat because you're on holiday, and then they come back and they put more weight on and they don't understand because they've done that bit before where they've lost weight, and it can really, especially like a lot of people, and I think teenagers especially because they've grown up with this social media, it can really affect their mental health and their mental well-being.
Yeah, it can. Yeah, you're right. Bikini body. What is a bikini body? Everybody's. If you put a bikini on, then you've got a bikini body. You don't have to look a certain way to be able to put a bikini on. Absolutely not. So, when we talk about weight loss, it shouldn't be about visually how we look. It should be about how we're physically feeling, how we're mentally feeling. If losing weight isn't supporting your mental health and isn't supporting your physical health in terms of sort of disease and illness and stuff like that, then you shouldn't be losing that weight. You should be trying to be sort of happy and comfortable in your skin.
Yeah, it's really about how you feel. Making you feel good and stuff like that. How do you kind of manage that with the people that you support in helping them, like with exercise and stuff? Because not just about food, people can get obsessed about exercise.
Yeah, definitely they can. Yeah,
and losing weight and stuff like that.
Yeah, so with our programs, so we've got different programs. The weight management programs. Is half of it is nutrition, and then after they've had that nutrition course, they then do the physical activity straight after. So that would probably lie with the physical activity specialist, how we sort of adapt it to them. But we discourage exercising to burn calories. It's not something that we want to do, but exercise is important, and we encourage doing exercise that you enjoy. So, you know, I hate running, so I'm not going to run because I'm not going to want to do it again. I like going to the gym and I like doing weights. So that's what I do. So I encourage people to find exercise that they actually like to enjoy. So, you know, if you played badminton as a child, you know, why don't you go and play badminton or join a badminton class? And we have these offers available sort of in the community that we can refer over to. So we are very lucky in Southend to have these sort of things on offer.
Yeah, no, it's amazing to see kind of what you can offer, really, especially like you said in Southend. I don't know if a lot of people know about the services that you offer and stuff, so it can be quite difficult for people to find where they go. They think that the only place they can go is to the gym, and then you go to the gym and you see all these people that are stronger and fitter and look better than you, and that can be really negative to somebody that's going there for the first time, and it can be quite intimidating.
Can be,
really.
yeah. The gym can be really intimidating. Now, we do have a sort of couple of offers. So we've got our wellbeing referral offer, and this is with any of the Fusion gyms. So if people are sort of nervous about going to the gym, they do get a proper induction with one of the instructors there. So, you know, if that was something that people wanted to get into, that gym offer is available, and it only comes at £2 a session. So it's really quite good. But we also understand that the gym isn't for everybody. So we've got lots of other things on offer as well. We've got things sort of in the community. We're working with Yoga for All on our sort of community side of this offer, and Active Life, which are sort of run general sort of exercise classes, so dance, fit, those sorts of things people really tend to enjoy. And then we're also working with another company called Man v Fat, which is just, I think, exercise classes for men, because obviously a lot of these dance fit classes and stuff like that are very sort of women based. So we wanted to try and encourage exercise classes for men as well. So we've got lots of sort of things exercise wise available. We're hoping to expand it to different sort of places available in the community. We run some exercise classes ourselves, so we run sort of circuit classes and seated classes, and they're all sort of the same demographic of people, so hopefully like-minded sort of people. So if you do feel intimidated, then these classes are on offer.
Are your courses and your classes quite affordable in being able to?
So all of our classes are free, apart from that exercise referral class, which is with sort of Fusion Gym. So all the other services that we offer are completely free, and they're usually sort of 12 weeks. So the weight management class is 12 weeks. We've got our falls prevention class, which is our most popular service. So this is for those who sort of regularly fall over, or tends to be the sort of older demographic of people, people that have fallen in the past or had a stroke or anything like that. And it's just sort of exercise classes, helping people build those muscles, helping people get up from the floor if they have fallen over, and get down onto the floor so they know sort of the safest ways. And that is our longest programme at 36 weeks. So that's a quite a long one. But yeah, we run other sort of services depending on what people want, really.
And do you have like a set place that you do these, or is it dotted around the community?
Yeah, so it's all around Southend, so all around the community in different sort of community centres, so ranging from sort of Lee to Shoebury, we've got different classes.
Oh, that's lovely to hear that you can be so, like, it doesn't matter where you're kind of living in Southend, so you can kind of access it in many different places. So if you were going to your class and you wanted to lose weight, and you know that was your main kind of focus, how would you kind of help somebody with losing weight to not kind of impact their mental health and stuff? What was the kind of mindset that you would put them in so they don't go into that yo-yo dieting and stuff?
So really, it's because we have this 12-week programme, we do tend to sort of stick to the teachings of that. But we do sort of weekly weigh-ins with people, so they can have their weight done. But we do say that this isn't mandatory. People don't need to do this, and that can actually have a big effect on people. Because weight loss isn't just shown by the numbers on the scales, it can be shown by lots of other things, especially generally sort of how we're feeling in ourselves. So we do sort of tend to encourage people to sort of see what they think might benefit them, if they think seeing the numbers is going to benefit them with their weight loss. But in terms of mental health, one size doesn't fit all. So we can't, give advice to one person and then give that same advice to other people. So we do have to try and adapt it to different people in terms of what they want really from us.
Yeah. And kind of, you were talking about the scales and stuff. What about like BMI and stuff? Because there's a lot of kind of myths and kind of truth around BMI and stuff like that.
So BMI is your body mass index. So what it is it just does a calculation with your height and your weight. Now it's difficult to say. So it does obviously it does show whether you're overweight or obese or what sort of scale you are. However, it doesn't take into effect some sort of factors of our body. So it doesn't take into account muscle mass. It doesn't take into account where we're storing that fat, or if it's fat or not, whether it's muscle or if it's things like water retention. So when we do measurements, we don't just do weight and height, we do waist circumference as well. So we can see sort of where that fat's being stored, if it is your waist, or if it's not there at all. And we do other sort of health checks as well. So we'll do people's blood pressures just to make sure that's okay and it's safe for them to exercise. And we'll ask them other sort of health related questions to see if there's any sort of comorbidities, which means any sort of illnesses related to being overweight or obese.
Okay, so it's more of a one-to-one kind of case-by-case basis as opposed to just having a strict kind of follow. This is what you do for them. That's really interesting. And like you're saying, BMI is such a baffling topic. It is a baffling topic,
it is. It's not as accurate as it could be, and there's different ways of working these things out. Lots of different technologies that are sort of used to work out, fat mass and muscle mass, but not all of them are as accurate as they could be.
No, unfortunately not, because you could have somebody that is on the bigger side, but you don't know if that's all muscle, if that's all fat. It can be different for everybody. And, a lot of people like to bulk, a lot of people like to build muscle.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're classed as overweight, even though they're actually incredibly healthy for themselves because they look after their body. And, that's what's really important at the end of the day.
And that's the sort of thing. It's about not being judgmental. So, if somebody's come onto our programme, then it's probably because they want to lose weight. So that's what we would assume from that. But, you can't just sort of, judge other people on this sort of factor, whether they look a certain way or anything like that. You've got to be really sensitive. We shouldn't be giving advice to people that haven't asked for it. It needs to be, if people come to you for advice and you're a professional and you can answer the questions and offer advice to these people, then brilliant. But if you're not a professional and people have not asked for any advice, then please don't give it to them.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of that, like especially in like society and social settings and stuff like that. There's a lot of things where somebody who might be overweight they'll be seen eating something, and then there will be people give their opinion on how they look and what they're doing and stuff like that.
Yeah, especially on social media and TikTok becoming a big thing at the moment. There's so much of that on there, and as I said, if you're not a professional and the person hasn't asked for advice, then don't give it. It's they haven't asked, so leave them alone.
I think that's the problem, is that society's kind of built up this image in our heads of what the perfect body looks like.
Yeah, definitely.
For males and females, it affects both genders very equally.
Yeah, 100%, yeah.
And if you don't fit that stereotype of what they want you to look like, people will often comment on it, unfortunately. Yeah. They'll say that, you look a bit bigger today, or, you're getting a bit tubby.
Yeah, and it's today's society, but it's also sort of been influenced from parents and grandparents. People can get those sort of comments from the older generation, unfortunately, as well. And it is difficult to stand up to that and say, I didn't ask for a comment on my body, so please don't give it. And I think we do need to start sort of standing up for ourselves a little bit. If people are given sort of unsolicited advice or comments on your body and what you're eating, then just simply say that you didn't ask for that and please don't give it. Lots of comments on what people are eating, how much people are eating. you don't know what is going on in that person's life. We shouldn't be given advice if it's not been asked for.
Yeah, 100%. You don't know if that's the only time that they've ate.
Exactly.
There,
yeah, exactly.
Or if they eat only in a certain time, they not might have time at home to eat and stuff like that. Or they might not like a lot of different foods, and that's kind of a safe food that they have.
Yeah.
Words can really hurt, and I don't think people realise the actual impact that making one comment about somebody's appearance can really stick in their head.
Yeah, definitely.
Unfortunately. So I heard that you're having an upcoming wellbeing event.
We are indeed, yes.
So do you want to tell us a bit like that?
Yeah,
and tell
I will
the listeners?
So it is on the 29th of July, which is a Saturday. And it's we've run. This is the third time we've run it, and the last 2 times have been really successful. It's just all of the organisations that are in Southend. Well, the majority of them we've tried to invite. Places like SAVs. All the sort of things like the libraries, police, all of those organisations that we've got available, sexual health clinics, all those important things related to our health and well-being we have invited. So there'll be loads of sort of stands, people showing their services. There'll also be a stage, and there'll be performances going on. So we've got dance performances. We haven't finalised them all yet, but there's lots of things going on. I think there might be some sort of karate performance as well. So it's going to be brilliant. And there's going to be food stands as well. So we've tried to get some, balanced variety of things that people can try. There'll be a market stall as well. So there'll be people sort of selling their goods, sort of local businesses and stuff in Southend. And it's hopefully going to be bigger and better than the ones we've done before. It did rain last time, unfortunately. So we've moved it forward. So hopefully the sun will be shining. So you can bring a picnic. Make sure you've got some sun cream with you if it's a sunny day. But yeah, it should be a big sort of brilliant event.
It's great to hear that the community's kind of coming together. Where are you holding the event, or have you not?
Yeah, so it's at Garrans Park. Oh, okay. So it's at the field in Garrans Park, which is by Southend Leisure Centre. Mm-hmm. And it is a free event as well, so it's absolutely free. We are holding it for a charity, so any sort of funds towards the charity are appreciated. But it's a free event, so free access. And there'll be lots of things for families as well, so kids games. There'll be all sorts, so please do come along. It'll be a good old event. I think it's 10 o'clock until 4 o'clock.
Oh, so like a whole day event.
Whole day event, yeah. But we'll be advertising it a lot, so there'll be leaflets around. There'll be posters and banners all around Southend, because we are funded by the council, so they allow us to dot things out and about. So
yeah, I'm sure that there'll be a lot of people coming, especially if you're kind of building up the advertising and you've done it before, and we're coming out of this is our first proper year after COVID and stuff like that, where our organisations and services can actually kind of promote themselves again rather than what it was like before.
We're so lucky as well in Southend. There are so many free services on offer, and people don't know about them. So events like this they're really important for people to know what there is available for them.
Yeah, I think that people don't realise, they don't see the kind of things that we offer in Southend, and any kind of organisation or charity. They're very hidden. Yeah. And, COVID didn't really help that out, unfortunately, at all. Definitely. So, it's lovely to have a chat with you today.
It's lovely to be here.
And, it's really lovely to hear kind of the different sides of mental well-being and diets and stuff like that from somebody that actually does it as a living and kind of covering all the sides. So how do you think it's gone today?
Yeah, really well. It's been great to sort of talk about these things and make people aware, and sort of spread awareness of our services and the events and stuff that we've got coming up. So if anyone does want to refer on to any of our services, they can just pop onto our website. It's just, if you just type in Everyone Health Southend, the website will come up, or give us a call. Our number is 0333 005 0095. So if you want to give that a ring, and they can book you onto any of our services.
So can they do self-referrals?
Yeah, so it's a self-referral, or your GP can refer you as well. So you can just get in contact with your doctor and they can refer you over as well. But our website has a self-referral button. You just fill out some information and it's really easy. Or you can just self-refer by giving us a call.
Okay, perfect. Well, that's all from us today. If you haven't already, you can find us on Instagram, Facebook and YouTube at The Wave Southend. Feel free to leave us a message to let us know what you think. You've been listening to The Wave Southend, and I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, whether that's morning, evening or night.